my Kiki. This is Andrew, my mommy.
State your name, birthday, and place of birth.
My name is Britney Barbara Baker. I was born March 19th, 1990 in Renton, Washington.
Do you know how any of our ancestors came to America?
Our paternal great-great-grandfather was a chauffeur for a family named the McIntoshes, and it was in England, and they came over and they brought our family with them so that they could still be their chauffeur. And the only thing that our grandfather remembers about his grandparents is that the grandmother would always tell him not to be a chauffeur, so apparently it wasn't a good job.
Are there any significant names in our family?
My middle name is Barbara, and it's also my maternal and paternal grandmother's first names. And my son's middle name is James, as well as my grandfather's middle name. And with my grandmother, her uncles were all named after generals, like her grandfather's favorite general at the time. So her dad's middle name is Lafayette, and one of her uncles is Houston, and just whatever general he liked at the time.
Tell us about any tragedies that happened in our family history.
Our paternal grandmother, her father had 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and they all had to work when they were younger. And when one of her uncles was 11 years old, and he was one of the fairly older kids, he was working on a saw, and it was like a table saw, and he got caught up in it somehow, and it cut him all the way in half, like all the way down the middle. And since there wasn't a funeral home, all the brothers and sisters had to bring the body to the kitchen table, clean it off, and then bury him. And then the other story is also our paternal grandmother's story, but it was her and her sister before any of her brothers were born. Her mother took them on the ferry in Louisiana. They went on the ferry. Somehow the car slipped off, fell into the water, and her sister was 3, and she was an infant. So her mother could only save one, so she chose to save the baby, thinking that her sister might be able to swim or get out, but her sister never got out. So her sister died when she was 3.
Were there any interesting nicknames in our family?
Our paternal grandmother's father was shining his brother's shoes one day, and the shoe shiner that they usually had his nickname was Jelly Bean, so they called him Jelly, and it kind of stuck. And he always worked on dredge boats like his whole adult life, and eventually when he stopped working on dredge boats, they named a boat after him, and they called it the Captain Jelly, and it's actually still working in Louisiana now. And fun fact, but I'm sure it's not so fun for him, he actually, when he was working on the dredges all over the place, he actually caught some kind of disease that made him lose all of his hair, even his eyebrows, and he was totally bald. And eyelashes. No eyelashes.
Were there any interesting pets?
Our paternal grandmother, when she was little, her family would go wherever the dredge boat took them, so they went to Bermuda, and they lived in Venezuela, and they lived all over the place. And in one of the places, they actually bought a monkey, like the kind that the cymbals go like this, and then they're like, I'll dance for you for $1, those kind. They bought one of those monkeys, and they kept it, and it was their pet. And even our dad can remember when he was little going to their house in Louisiana, and they just had the little monkey there dancing. And her name was Chiquita, like the bananas, like because monkeys love bananas.